Mass collaboration is critical nowadays. There's no way any military, especially if they're working in conjunction with another country's military, could function without having mass collaboration. I worked in the intelligence cell when I was in the military. I worked in the operations cell when I was in the military. And I know if we didn't have at least the basic tools for mass collaboration, we would be left out of the picture. It's quite simple. And it's happened to Canadian forces before, where they didn't order the equipment or get the capability in quite enough time. They weren't invited to play. And I mean, I know of exercises that Canada has been cut out of it because they didn't have quite the right security level to do this mass collaboration for a joint exercise, and guarantee the next year they did.
Okay. What is the biggest challenge for the Canadian Armed Forces regarding mass collaboration? An example would be like a training exercise with a variety of countries.
The biggest challenge, primarily from what I have seen and heard and talked to other people, are staying on top of the security requirements. Quite often these countries, whether it's Canada, United States, United Kingdom, Australia, whatever, have the tools for communicating. But when it comes to something that's really meaningful that they need to communicate on, get their joint approaches solidified, if they don't have the right level of security, that the other country has confidence that their secrets and processes, etc., won't be leaked out, they cannot play. And those things are evolving all the time. I mean, you know, every time you hear about a security system being hacked, well, they have to go and find out new systems to make it safer. Well, if that country has done something to make it safer, you better make sure that you get your system up to that same level, or you can't play the next round.
So in other words, how could that challenge be overcome would simply be by keeping up to date with technology and the changes in technology throughout.
Keeping up with technology is definitely critical, but it's also training the people to use the technology. Quite often these countries will get the technology, but if they don't train their people to use it properly, it becomes a hindrance rather than a tool. For example, you could turn around and get the technology, set up the exercise, and partway through the exercise, the people who understand how it works don't know what to do when something goes wrong. You've now caused more damage than anything else because there's assets involved that you're contributing that can't be used in the whole thing, the whole activity, because your people weren't trained well enough to how to handle a problem on the security end of it. Face-to-face is critical for picking up on nuances, body language, tone, etc. that you can pick up slightly when you have long-distance communications, but it's not the same as being face-to-face with the individual. And a lot of times, you have to pick and choose when's the right time to be face-to-face, and sometimes that's a judgment call. Sometimes you can cover things all long distance if it's something that's fairly easy, but it's something that's a little bit difficult, something new that people are getting into, something they're not quite signed up to, but they're interested in. You have to be able to use a judgment call on when to get right in front of them. And I guarantee you, at the end of that face-to-face meeting, you'd walk away going, okay, this has got someplace to go, or this is a dead-end street. You can't always pick that up when it's just over telephone or even a teleconference. I've had occasions where a lot of the message is lost. The actual intention of the whole email was completely misconstrued because the person can't hear your tone or doesn't get your inflection or see the look in your eyes, the raised eyebrow, where you look one way or the other. You're making it up or you're trying to remember. I have found emails, especially people who aren't, they're not really disciplined in how they write their emails. It's just, I'm just sending you guys something, not realizing that just sending something has an impact on the person receiving it. I always make sure when I write my emails, I do a greeting. Hello, John, and I always say cheers, Ian, or regards, Ian, or something like that, just like I would if I was calling them on the phone or if I was writing them a letter. And if somebody receives an email from me that says, John, and I sign it Ian, I've passed some tone in there already because I've used the email to let them know that I didn't use my normal salutation, so therefore something's not quite right. So emails can be misconstrued so easily. That's why it's so important to write them well.
Okay, hi, my name is Philippe Macraw. I'm a student at the University of Ottawa for the management option at the Telford School of Management. So how has mass collaboration affected my student life? Well, one example would be the e-governance forum that we had in my e-governance class, which students posted several postings regarding general topics of collaboration and other discussion topics. One of the papers we had to write was a series of questions regarding stigmergic collaboration. And it's funny because the forum is actually a form of stigmergic collaboration from which I was able to build ideas and compare it to others' ideas and develop them into a coherent paper. Now, had it not been for this forum, it would have been very difficult for me to get a good perspective of what stigmergic collaboration is and how to write this paper. But having a general idea of the actual topic and seeing where people in the class were going with it gave me more of a direction. Another example would be Doc Depot. Doc Depot is just a form of mass collaboration where teachers post online assignments, they'll post the class slides, they'll post the course outline. But to a certain point, this makes my life as a student easier because I no longer feel like I almost have to go to class, even though I really should, because it feels like a lot of the information is available to me online, therefore negating the necessity of me having to go to class. Even though that Ottawa U is not an online university like Athabasca University. Now, the problem is, by not having to attend class, I'm missing out on a large part of what I'm supposed to be learning. And it gives me a false sense of security as a student. So what are the drawbacks of these effects? Well, in management, a lot of what is taught is a transmittal of experience that people have lived through or have known. So a lot of that can only be communicated in face-to-face, conversation. These are not things that you would get in a textbook or in slides. These are things that you have to be there to get. So by not attending class, I'm missing out on a large part of what my education is and what I'm paying for. But I feel like I'm getting the same amount, which is untrue, just because I have access to this online material. But it lulls me into a false sense of security as a student. The other thing is it lowers your grades because not being in class or participating in class, I miss out on a lot of the important material and the essence of some of the communications throughout the class, which will be in the subject matter and on the exams. So I miss out on that, and hence I will get a lower grade if I don't attend class regularly. Now, the other drawback is that I will be less prepared for the workforce if I don't attend all my classes, because I won't have learned all the things that could have been that would be to my advantage to know in the workforce, and that I would have learned had I gone to class.